So how's it going, my comic chat? We're here today with Kate Owen and Cole. What is it? Music?
It's music.
Music. They're the dynamic duo behind Doug Dynamite and was the other one? Flesh Nest.
Yeah.
And now Survival Strike. How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Awesome.
What was the response on Doug Dynamite being a year later?
I feel like we finally started finding an audience. We went to our first live comic focused sales event. We've been to a few, toy shows and a kaiju festival, but this was the first one for comics. And it was on Free Comic Book Day, and we were selling those things like hotcakes. So just when we were starting to think that we were bad and it was bad and everything was bad and we should stop, we had a really great sales day. So now we're back again.
Sweet. When's issue 2 coming out?
Oh no. Well, issue 2 is currently being written, so.
Okay.
The outline script is done. We know what's going to happen. Know what's going to happen in issue number 3. So now we just have to do the thing that we do, where we sit on the couch with the laptop that I'm currently using for the interview, and we just bang out the script and then give it to George and make it happen. But I would argue, look for it sometime either late this year or maybe the middle of next year, because it is coming. It's a lot of fun to write for. Doug's a phenomenal character. At least we think so. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. The storytelling that goes with it is cool. And George is just a pleasure to work with, not just as a cool guy, but he really gets it on an art level. So, George, if you're watching this, cheers, buddy.
I like it. And Survival Strike, what's that one about? That's on Kickstarter now, right?
It is. Oh, we lost a call. He's so excited about it. He just disappeared. Yeah, that one started on Kickstarter just like 2 days ago. But the basic premise of that one is that there's this woman who's a teacher in the near future, and some acts get passed by the government that limit the number of hours you can work in a week and the number of jobs you can hold, and therefore pretty much nobody has benefits anymore. So she looks into gig work to kind of supplement her rent money, and ends up as gig work, basically kicking butt on the streets and taking on vigilante work for the police force, and using her martial arts skills and being like Uber Eats, but for kicking butt.
I like that. That's very original. Yeah. How many issues do y'all have planned?
You'd have to ask Cole, because this is primarily his brain baby. He's the writer. I just edited it, but definitely more than one. And I know it initially started out as an entirely different property that was going to be, a martial arts tournament. And then that got scrapped and the character got recycled into this more sardonic take on the work climate. So I was working as a teacher. I ended up getting my education degree. So Cole had a firsthand seat to how much I was struggling to pay the bills. And I think every single other teacher that I worked with worked at least one other job. And most of them were things like Uber or, delivery driving and things like that.
I definitely agree that we need to pay our teachers more,
Even if they can't meet people up.
Right. Because I definitely have a few memorable teachers that went above and beyond in my school years,
Yeah.
And they're like our second defense. Like after the kids leave the parents, the 5 years that they're with us, then they go to school. It's on the teachers,
For sure. A lot of kids spend more time with their teacher than with their parents during the week.
There you are, Cole. Yeah.
Hey. I laid out the basic premise for you. I got it totally wrong. I gave everyone the wrong idea. Of course. But I do think even not non-teachers could sympathize with just how rough it is to make ends meet right now. Everything's a little more expensive. And if anybody out there is looking for a job in this job market, you have my deepest sympathies. It's rough out there.
Yes, it is. It sucks. It sucks being an adult. That's the one thing that sucks, Growing up, they told me a list of things that sucked as an adult. I think the one thing I hate the most is taxes.
Yes.
Taxes suck.
I'd be deeply suspicious of anyone that's like, oh, I love taxes. I love doing my taxes. I love paying
it. What's the newest conspiracy? They're lizard people.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, I went on a date once with someone who was telling me about Hollow Earth, but also that it was flat, and I was just so confused. But draw me a picture of how this works.
It's one or the other.
Yeah. So, how long is your Kickstarter running for?
It's going for 20 days, and I think we're going off of noon from when it launched. So we got just a little over 2 weeks to go.
Sweet. How long can you run a Kickstarter for?
I think you can run it for up to a couple months if you want, maybe even longer than that. But with this kind of thing, I've never been a fan of making it run for too long because, some people, I don't know, if somebody was going to run something that was going past 6 months, I might either wait till the end or it's too long for me. So try to keep it short and sweet.
And from our side, flogging a Kickstarter is kind of exhausting, so you can lose steam yourself. So.
Yeah.
Is the book finished? So all you have to do is print and send it to the backers?
Basically, yeah. The art's finished. I think there's maybe 3 pages left that have to be lettered, which we're doing. So that'll take me, I don't know, lunchtime to do. And then we can just, send it to the printer and it'll be good to go.
Yeah, covers are done, everything. It's really ready.
Who do y'all have doing the art for y'all?
So it's a fellow, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, Aditya from Gorilla Machine Productions. That's usually just how I refer to it because I don't want to butcher his name any more than necessary.
I'm looking at your Kickstarter now. I like y'all's covers. You got that 80s aesthetic,
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that you can tell from our other property kind of holds a place in our heart comics wise, is that 80s super graphic style.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get there,
those are the kind of books that we grew up reading. So
that was a good time. Can I get y'all's other 3 books on the Kickstarter?
So they're not being offered on the Kickstarter, and the main reason for that is because the other books, some of them are radically different. So the person that might be into Flesh Nest might not be into Doug Dynamite and vice versa. So yeah, it should, at least to us, it doesn't really make sense to offer them that way, but you can get all of them on our store Envy. They are still available, or just come see us at a live show and get them there.
That's what I was just going to ask. Where are y'all going to be at this year?
Let's see. So we got invited to guest at TusCon, which is it's a Tucson science fiction, fantasy, and horror convention that leans a little more into the literary side of things. And we got invited to participate there based off of some illustrated short story books that we also released this last year. So we'll have our comics there. And that's this fall. Otherwise, we're looking for smaller to mid-size shows, ones that are at libraries or local comic shops rather than the big conventions. We've had a much better time at those, really being able to connect to people and talk to them than some of the larger shows where you're just a little lost.
Yeah, I agree. I think San Diego Comic-Con starts this week.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Have you ever been? Never been to any of the big ones.
Really?
been to a few small ones, like local and like you said, in libraries and stuff. But I haven't been to San Diego, New York, or none of those.
Yeah, the one in Phoenix is actually getting quite large. I don't know how it ranks against the other ones, but that is a huge yearly convention. But Phoenix Fan Fest, I think it's called.
Fan Fest, Fan Fusion,
Fan
like
Fusion,
that.
yeah.
I know they got a big one down here in Florida. SuperCon, I think it is. Either no, MegaCon. It's not SuperCon. The names of these cons all run together.
They do. They're all really similar.
Is there a Pensacon?
What is it?
Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida. I feel like I've seen banners for that one.
It probably is. Probably is. What social medias are you on nowadays? We're doing. What do we do? What can't speak today? What social medias are you on?
Well, I think the primary ones are Facebook and Instagram. That's where we're most active. We do have an X or Twitter. I'm just going to call it Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I'm being that guy. And we have a TikTok with a few videos on there, but if you just want to follow to see the handful of skits that we do a year, you're more than welcome to, but we're most active on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I started a TikTok, uploaded like one video, and that was it.
That's kind of what we did. I mean, like, I'll level with you. I'm 40. I'm too old for TikTok. I should be having prunes and Ovaltine and not TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's a little much.
The idea of having to come up with new videos and stuff to upload every day, multiple times a day, is just way too daunting, and I can't even fathom trying to do that.
I agree. What stretch goals do y'all have planned?
Well, the first and foremost is that we've got a nice pair of stickers lined up for when we get $100 past the goal. And then I've got a couple tentative ideas, depending on how far we get. Like maybe we could do some hollow foil variants to include with physical backer packages or something, but we'll see how far along we get.
We're about a third of the way already, I think, last time I checked. So not too bad for the first few days.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, we're just under like $400.
Yay!
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. What advice would y'all have for new creators that want to run a Kickstarter that haven't?
You go first.
Well, we were just talking about making sure that you have it well along the way, close to being done at least, or some really solid plans for finishing your project, because you don't want to be those people that kind of started prematurely and lead people on and then nothing ever comes of it. So sometimes people will do a Kickstarter where they just have an idea for a comic and it's not written and it's not drawn and it's a couple character sketches, and that's awesome, but that's a rough one to get people to back.
Especially nowadays. A lot of people have been burned by that, so if you don't have anything to actually present, then you're pretty hard pressed to get backing there. And I would agree with that. I would definitely say what we like to do is have all of the covers done, make sure that it's written, and have at least 6 colored pages before you even go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo or anything like that. And that way you have something to present, and it gives backers confidence to know that you're actually working on it, you're going to deliver, and you're not just going to take the money and run.
And I think the actual work of the Kickstarter starts long before you're on Kickstarter, and that's building some kind of presence online or in the flesh, so that you have some people to drive to the project. Because if you think you're just going to make the Kickstarter and leave it there and people will trickle in, I mean, maybe, but that's pretty unlikely. You're really doing all of your own advertising, all of your promotion, and those wheels need to be turning long before launch day.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all made it into comic book stores yet?
We have.
Hey.
At least locally.
Hey, that's where it starts. Have y'all been shopping around to any publishers?
Not yet. We kind of work as our own publisher just because even though it's a lot more work, we like to be able to have 100% say in what's happening with our stuff, where it's going, and especially nowadays, it seems like a lot of publishers, if you don't follow the kind of content guidelines that they want you to have, they won't publish you or distribute you in the first place. So if it's not something you want to do, then, well, you're out of luck in that case. So even though it's a lot more work, it's a bit more freeing and, in my opinion, a lot more rewarding to do it ourselves so that we can put it in the stores we want to put it in. We can get it out to fans who will legitimately enjoy it and newcomers that we hope will like all the stuff. And yeah, it's just, we try to keep everything as in-house as possible because even though it's more work up front, it saves a lot of headache down the line.
That's why we learned how to do lettering. So both of us can do lettering now. I just made the video for the Kickstarter, so I jumped first into Premiere and tried to figure that out so we could have a campaign video.
I'm gonna check that out after this interview. I've always wanted to know how does lettering work.
Yeah, lettering is. We should do a little tutorial on how we letter sometime, just because it's not very hard. I think it'd be really useful for people to know how to do it. It's just time consuming.
No, it's not super difficult. It's really it's getting boxes and bubbles and everything placed in the right way, and also making sure that it's not too crowded or doesn't look weird. So
yeah, we do a lot of editing at the point that we're placing the word bubbles and doing the lettering. We're like, oh my gosh, we wrote a whole novel. That's not going to fit in this image. Especially, bless him, George draws really detailed panels, and we were so reticent to cover any of the awesome pieces of the panel. We're like, where can we fit this in? So that can be a puzzle.
So, dead or alive, who would y'all like to make a comic book with? Your dream team?
I picked Ty Templeton.
Okay.
Yeah, he can write it, he can draw it, and I will just do the lettering on that one because he's so dang talented.
Oh, are you picking Cole?
Let's see. I would probably co-write something with Greg Rucka for sure. And on art, it's either going to be Mark Silvestri or Joe Rubenstein.
And I'll put in a word for a cover by Bernie Wrightson. Get a party cover.
Definitely. And I guess, honestly, it would depend on which genre I'm going into because I kind of have a different team for different categories. But if we're going your standard comic books, yeah, that'd be my pick.
All right. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Please pop by and give the Kickstarter a look. See if it's something you might be interested, or check out our other books. That's always much appreciated.
And times are tough all around, so if you can't pledge, it's totally cool. Hitting the share button is just as good as a pledge. I know that's the thing that people say a lot, and maybe it doesn't sound like the truth, but I promise you it is. Hitting that share button, it's as good as a pledge. It's like gold. Sharing it with people, that's the good stuff.
Appreciate y'all taking the time to come talk with me.
Hey, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. And everybody that's watching, if you haven't, go see all of Cody's other interviews and definitely check out his legacy stuff because he's got some heavyweights in on the channel here, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if you're not subscribed to his channel, hit that subscribe button, please.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely, man.
What? You mean you haven't subscribed to Comicchatauthority?
Oh, come on. Subscribe already. What are you waiting for? It's no big deal.
Like, man, don't forget to tell him to hit that like button.
Yeah, that too. Just subscribe.